Alright everyone, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video here along US Route 550 between Durango and Silverton, Colorado as we drove up into the San Juan Mountains. So as I previously mentioned here in this video, this road has been very high on my bucket list for quite a while and for very good reason. This is easily one of the most scenic drives that I've ever been on here in the United States. And I don't know if it was just the perfect timing or what, but the fall colors here along this road here on the last day of September here in 2024 were absolutely breathtaking. I've done a number of fall drives in Colorado throughout my life, but this one was just on another level and just in a category all of its own. I have never seen so many vibrant fall colors in one area of the state as I did here along US Route 550 in the San Juan Mountains. I watched the forecasts leading up to this fall color road trip that we took here in Colorado because I always try to time it to where the fall colors are going to be at their peak, and they came just a little bit earlier than normal this year here in 2024, and I was a little bit worried that we were going to actually miss the peak fall foliage here along the $1 Million Highway here along US Route 550, but I could not be more wrong about my prediction, and it was just absolutely breathtaking to see all these fall colors here along the side of the road as we continued our journey up towards Silverton. And of course, the fall colors take absolutely nothing away from the awesome mountain scenery that you see here along this road as well. I'm sure no matter what time of the year you drive this road, it is absolutely breathtaking, especially even in the winter with all the snow surrounding you here in the beautiful San Juan Mountains. So one thing I want to bring up is that there is a common misconception that the entire drive through the San Juan Mountains here along US Route 550 is known as the $1 Million Highway, but while doing some research for this video, I actually found out that the $1 Million Highway section is just roughly the 25-mile stretch that goes between Silverton and Ouray, which this video ended in Silverton, so that stretch that the video ended at all the way to Ouray is actually the $1 Million Highway section. And that makes perfect sense because that's actually the most dangerous section of this entire route through the Uncompahgre Gorge as you drive down into the town of Ouray. And let me tell you folks, this entire drive here that we took on US Route 550 in Colorado was absolutely breathtaking, like from beginning to end, from when we entered the state from New Mexico earlier in the day, and then of course the entire drive over the San Juan Mountains. And seriously folks, the San Juan Mountains are probably one of the most beautiful and underrated mountain ranges here in the United States. The town of Ouray at the northern end of the range is known as the Switzerland of America, and it's really not hard to see why it's called that. Once you get up there in the higher elevations of the San Juan Mountains, you really do feel like you're in the Swiss Alps at times. Overall, this was just an amazing drive here, and my grandpa and I certainly really enjoyed our time here along the $1 Million Highway and US Route 550 as we drove over the San Juan Mountains. I highly recommend driving this road if you ever get the chance. I highly recommend doing it in the fall if you can time it perfectly to where you get all the fall colors when they're at their absolute peak. It is just an amazing driving experience and something that my grandpa and I will never forget. And what made it even better is that we both drove this road for the very first time together, so it was just really awesome that we got to share this once-in-a-lifetime experience together. Alright everyone, I just want to give a shout out to all my social media accounts that you see on the screen here because I really am trying to grow my social media accounts beyond just here on YouTube. I would really appreciate it if you guys would check out my Instagram. I'm really trying to grow that social media platform, so I would really appreciate it if you guys would follow me on there. My username is just InterstateKyle. What's really cool about my Instagram is if I'm on a road trip, I will post on my story of where I am and what I'm doing, so it's just a really cool way for you guys to follow along with me in real time to see what I'm doing and what I'm up to. I know my videos on here can get pretty dated very quickly, so if you guys want to see what I'm doing in real time, I highly recommend checking out my Instagram, and I would really appreciate your support over there. You guys can also check out my Facebook group and my Twitter/X account. The links to all those are down in the description. Another thing I want to give a shout out to is my Patreon, which is a way for you guys to support me beyond YouTube here. If you guys want to join my Patreon, you guys can get special perks for joining, like watching all of my videos early before they are released here on YouTube. And all the money I make on there goes right back into this YouTube channel to keep producing more of these types of videos in the future. The link to my Patreon is also down in the description, so if you really want to check it out, I would really appreciate your extra support over there as well. And another thing that is set up on my channel is Super Thanks, which is located to the right of where you would normally like one of my videos. What that basically is just a way for you guys to tip me out for each video going forward if you feel that I've earned it, of course. And then all the money on there also goes right back to this channel to keep producing more of these types of videos in the future. And with all that said, folks, I really hope you all enjoyed watching this video here along US Route 550 between Durango and Silverton, Colorado. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all have an amazing day, and take care, everyone. Stay tuned to the next adventure. We will see you next time.